the London Stock Exchange, where the group reports a 12% increase in total revenue for the third quarter. That's a whole lot of money. The UK exchange operators' revenue for the period was £521 million, much higher than £464 million reported in the third quarter of last year. Third quarter gross profit also climbed 14% to £529 million. The group also announced its chief financial officer, David Warren, intends to retire by the end of next year. So, European Union leaders are meeting today to discuss a new budget plan that could allow the bloc spend up to $1.2 trillion in the 2021-2027 period. That's the first budget after the exit from Britain, one of the top contributors to EU coffers. Under a proposal prepared by Finland, the next long-term budget should have a financial capacity between 1.03% and 1.08% of the region's gross national income. My colleague Juliana Olayinka has been spending most of the day trying to find out, flesh up these stories from our London studio. She's having a very unenviable job as is busy trying to run after all the details from the Westminster to number 10 Downing Street and all the way to Brussels. So hope you got time for lunch, Juliana. So this is $1.7 trillion, big money being talked about by the EU leaders. How much of these details do we know at the moment?
Well, Bosun, good afternoon. No lunch, of course, by the way. But look, you know, everybody has been focused on the infighting that's going on in Westminster at this side of the Channel. But, of course, there are deep divisions between the remaining EU 27. And this is manifesting on the second of their EU Council summit. Now, traditionally, historically, some of the big sticking points and where the EU butt heads is on economics and finance, which is one of the main reasons a lot of hardline Brexiteers wanted to get out, because, of course, there are economies like Germany, France and previously the UK that were big contributors, and there are those on the lesser scale. So, yes, Finland, they currently are the presidents of this EU Council, and they have suggested in the wake, in line of Britain leaving the bloc, that every government will have to up their nominations, their contributions to 0.1%. And a lot of people are not happy about that. This is a budget that will last for 6 years, up until 2027, starting in 2021. And this money goes to trying to help poorer states catch up with their richer states. Also, as well, farming. Farming is a big deal for the European Union. And if it's not subsidised, then, of course, people that are coming and importing outside of the EU benefit more. So this is where this money is going to. And a lot of people are not happy. So this is where they're butting heads. But, of course, if indeed Britain does leave, they have to try and find a way to resolve that big billion-dollar hole.
OK. We're talking about the hole in the EU budget and Brexit. On the other hand, the LSE group is smiling at its third quarter earnings. So, but why is the exchange chief financial officer, Warren, leaving next year? Any idea?
Well, you know, David Warren has had a very, very colourful career. He has been at the LSE for about 7 years, which may not seem like a long time for many, but during his tenure, it's seemed to be pretty successful. And, of course, the fact that they have posted these robust gains show that his time as CFO, you know, has been a very good one. He said that he announced this morning that he will be retiring at the end of next year. But most importantly, he's not going to be leaving them out in the cold. That $29 billion takeover of Refinitiv, that Thomson Reuters data and analytics firm, he said that he will be seeing through it. So the LSE have a really tough job now of searching the globe, trying to find his predecessor. I'll check your email, Bosun. Somebody might be getting in touch with you. But, you know, Warren, he was seen as a very successful person at the LSE. But the LSE is moving on and they're changing their face. So, yes, there's a big job out there, and they will be scanning the globe left and right to find somebody that can replace him that has been as successful as he was.
And I talk about those, you and I talk about those who make money. We are not the one making the money. We talk about those who making money and who's losing money. That's our job. So they're going to fix that. But let's just wrap it up very quickly. With the Bank of England, December 10th is the date set for the stress tests results on the state of the banks. Do you have any idea, and I'm asking you today if you have any idea, I think this is about the third time I'm asking you if you have any idea, which banks in the UK are likely to get marked down as stressed? Any idea? Any names?
Well, to be honest, dare I name drop any of them, but I think most of them really will fail this stress test. And this is a really interesting story, actually. Mark Carney, the Bank of England governor, he'll be going in January, but he has been at the forefront of all central bank governors around the world who are really trying to push this climate change agenda, making net zero emissions basically in every company, not just in every bank. And he has reiterated that before he goes, he will be putting not just the top banks, but also some big FTSE 100 companies in a stress test scenario. So if there is a climate change catastrophe and you did have to use net zero emissions in your company, would you be able to survive it? And, you know, he's announced this and reiterated it just as London is on a standstill and has been taken over by climate change protesters, including just outside our studio in Oxford Circus. So big initiative. I think lots of people are likely to fail, but I think for those who are pushing the climate change agenda, they'll be happy that at least Mark Carney is telling those big businesses that you can't just contribute to making the planet warmer, you also have to take responsibility for it.
Okay, great. I'm sure you had a long weekend ahead of you, Juliana, so it's better to let you go at this point. Thank you so much and see you next week. My colleague,
Thank you both,
London